welcome to this edition of the RazReport. We are super excited to have Griffin Johnson, a social media influencer, creator, entrepreneur, 21 years old, making things happen, and he's just beginning. Trust me, if Griffin Johnson was a stock, you may want to buy, but you figure out how to sell part of his proceeds. Investing in people, Griffin, could be a business. And
hey,
you know,
I see it. I see it.
So what's up? How you doing today? Where are you today?
I am in the studio at our actual sway house. I would say if you could call a house sway still, this would be the sway house. This is where Bryce.
What do you mean if you could call a house sway? Like, is it not as much?
Well, we're split up now. So we had our original house, in Bel Air when we first started, and now we kind of split up everywhere. So this is like our work house / reunion house. This is like the sway house, if you had to call one house sway.
And why are you guys splitting? Like, why are you splitting up, or like the house? Is it because people want their own houses, or what's the reason?
Well, a little bit of it was because our group was getting too big. There's, 9 of us total. And basically we had to split up because first off, we couldn't get a house big enough. Second off, because we all had different goals on where we want our careers to go. So we kind of split off based on where we're trying to go and what made sense. Yeah,
I hear you. So it's kind of fun to be together in the same house, but then you guys it's kind of like bittersweet a little bit.
Yeah, it's hard to focus with all of us together, and we kind of had to split ourselves up a little bit also based on who we get in trouble with and who we don't.
Got it.
So
understood. So Griffin, how many people follow you on TikTok these days? Is that your most followed platform?
Yeah, almost 10 mil.
10 mil.
We're creeping up on it. Yeah.
You're one of the major guys. Let's take it back to when you were a youngster, 8 years old, 10 years old. What were you up to? What was your thing? What were you doing? Were you a techie? Were you a sports guy?
Yeah. So growing up, I was definitely a sports kid. That's basically about all I did was, travel ball. And, I started flag football, basketball, baseball, played a little bit of soccer. Later got into golf. And actually, whenever I was really young, my whole career, other than what I thought I was going to do, was swimming. I still hold probably over 30 swimming records, maybe 20, 30. And that's where I thought I was going. And then
what kind of swimming records? Were you like a freestyle or all types of strokes?
Everything. My favorite was the IM and breaststroke, but I hold a couple in the 25 and 50 freestyle and a couple different YMCA's.
So did you have that beautiful hair back then, or did you shave and everything and do the whole thing?
No, I didn't have much hair at all, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did that up until I was 14, and basically I had to decide whether I wanted to transfer high schools or not. So I went to school in Illinois, and I would have had to transfer to Indiana because I live right on the border, and I just didn't want to move schools. And I regret it because in some ways I regret it because a lot of my friends, whenever I was 14, my state relay team, I think 2 out of the 4 went to swim. One of them was at Florida State, and one of them went to Vanderbilt or something. So yeah, it was definitely where I thought I was headed for sure.
So do you miss it a little bit?
Sometimes, yeah. I was in really good shape. I missed that for sure.
I mean, the swimmers were the best. Yeah, my best friend was a swimmer, so that's why I know about it. And then in high school, you were swimming, but you were also playing. Were you also playing baseball?
Yeah. So baseball was besides swimming, baseball was always my main sport. That's what I love to do. And
what position did you play in baseball?
I played around a lot. I moved around center field. I pitched second base, but mainly I like to pitch.
Were you a good pitcher?
I wasn't the hardest thrower, but I definitely threw strikes, and I was good with placement, so it kind of made up for it.
Yeah. Were you lefty, righty?
Righty.
Right. Okay. So you weren't Verlander, but you weren't you had skills, right?
Yeah, it was more about placement for me than it was speed for sure.
Got it. Okay. And you didn't get like a Tommy John surgery? You're healthy in that area?
Yeah, well, I mean, I have bad labrums, but other than that, I'm good.
Got it. Okay. And so then that was high school. Then did you go to college?
Yeah, I ended up like I didn't even get to really finish out my baseball career. I ended up getting hurt and didn't end up playing, so I kind of got shut down short. But
How'd you get hurt?
it,
What do you mean?
well, it was my labrum. I had a
Oh,
lot
it
of
was.
problems.
Okay. Okay.
I also in my rib cage, like my intercostals, I pulled some muscles and they never like I couldn't get them to heal because I would never let myself recoup long enough. So I always had problems with that as well.
Got it. So then what'd you do after high school?
After high school, I went on. I always wanted to play sports, but ended up, like I said, I was hurt, and I never got around to that. So I went into nursing school at Indiana State, and I got about 2.5 years in before I did social media and everything kind of took off.
Yeah. So nursing school, tell me a little bit about that. Like when you,
Yeah, nursing school is kind of the reason why I'm here right now. I'm not gonna lie, that's where I started off with my content, and I was actually finishing up. It was hard for me because I was doing nursing school the summer before. So the summer going into my junior year, I went on tour with all the boys. Super dope. Had a great time. That's where I made all my connections. But it was hard for me because I was trying to stay relevant and continue my career and also do nursing school at the same time, which was difficult. Staying up late, trying to keep connections with my friends on the West Coast, and I'm on the East Coast 3 hours ahead. And I struggled. I was getting like 3 hours of sleep a night, trying to do my homework and keep my friends and make content and then go to class. So it was interesting. It was interesting.
You were doing TikToks back then? That's how it all started.
Yeah. Also, my teachers hated me at my school. They were nice, but they were fake nice a lot of the time. Why'd they hate you? Because of my social media stuff. Like I would take videos of my scrubs, or like, people would always be telling my teachers about my videos and they'd be showing them to them. And then like people would get jealous and they'd tell my teachers I'm cheating and like I'm doing this. Like people were always after me in college. It was like we had this like nursing counselor kind of, and I felt like I was in her class every week, like in her office.
In her office.
Yeah, in her office, because people were like trying to get me in trouble or accusing me of this or showing videos. So it was really annoying. I'm not gonna lie, it really sucked. And I mean, the Kaplan, right?
The Kaplan.
We had like like the nursing tests.
Yeah.
So like I had to take my practice Kaplan in the office with her because people kept saying I was cheating on things. That's how bad it was.
And you weren't cheating?
No. Like it's like almost impossible. You sit in a classroom, a teacher walks around through the whole thing, and I was always just getting accused of stuff. So I literally had to sit in her office one-on-one and take it with her. Like, I don't know. I'm not gonna lie, it sucked.
No, it's just really interesting to hear that. It's like people just want to like make up stuff, and it's unbelievable, to be honest.
No, it's trickled down. It's even worse now. I couldn't even imagine being in school now. I do online classes. I'm a senior. I literally have one semester left. But to be at class on campus, just the things that people would be doing, I don't even want to know.
No, I mean, and this interview is about you, but like another media site forwarded me an email someone sent them. There was an article about me, and this guy writes an email that I have stock in these random like shady and I've I'm an open book, to be honest. Like I literally, because I'm so out there in the financial media thing, I don't do anything that I would like. If someone would write on the Wall Street Journal front page, I don't do anything that wouldn't be kosher for that. You know what I mean?
Right.
And this guy writes an email to the editor of this other website. And he forwards it to me. Try to look up his email, but it's like a fake thing. Everything's fake. But but just made up this whole thing. I mean, like, there's not even like a percentage of truth. Not even, you know what I mean? Like, I would be, if it was, I wouldn't say the story, you know? And I feel like you say this nursing, the cheating thing, you must have been going crazy. They're telling you, I mean, that's like that's traumatic a little bit, I would say.
Yeah. And it's like, it was almost like I was always paranoid. It was like, you know, nursing, it's all about your group, because you start off with 50 people that they accept into the program, and it kind of dwindles down as people fail or people drop or whatever, and they don't accept more people. So like I was a year and a half in, basically into like starting my first like nursing classes. So like it just kept dwindling. So there's probably, I think there was like 38 of us by then. And a lot of it's studying together and learning together and having that group, because like it's not easy. Like nursing school is not an easy thing. But I had my roommate and like 2 others, and like they also were getting accused of stuff just for being with me. Like our group,
my group association.
Like my group did really well. I think all of us made dean's lists. Like we were killing it, but people hated us.
Now, did you go to nursing school because you wanted to be a nurse or get a passion for helping people?
Yeah, so I wanted to do anesthesia. That's what like my goal was before doing all this social media stuff, which kind of correlates. People always ask me like, how do you go from being a nurse to doing this?
Yeah,
it's like you're a nurse to sacrifice your life to, you know, help people and change lives, and then now you get to do that with millions of people every day.
Got it. Yeah. I was just thinking anesthesiology nurse, you put people to sleep, but you do the opposite with what you do now. You keep up my daughter and Riley and my son Josh. Speaking of that, we have a guest here, Josh, who's going to ask a couple questions in on this stuff. But I have a question. When you can come in, Josh, when you were getting accused of like cheating stuff, were there nights where you were just at home like crying or like anxiety? Like, I mean, even when I saw this email today, which I don't get it like you get it, but when I saw this email today, I was like, this guy is receiving it, this other website. He must think there's some truth to it, when there's like I would take any lie detector test in the million. You know what I mean? Like, how do you go through that a little bit?
Yeah. So I would say the hardest part for me was like, I'm a pretty straight up dude. I definitely have my moments where, you know, I can be, you know, quite the shithead, but whenever it came to that, the hardest part was just like, first off, I'm not saying I'm right. Like I would never justify, like I've done my fair share and like I kind of towed the line and wasn't exactly like the best form of myself, especially at that time in my career. But first off, it was just a Snapchat. Like it wasn't like I felt like I was getting like criminalized for the whole thing. And on top of it, like there was so much going on behind the scenes and no one knew about it, but like I couldn't speak up. So it was like almost like a bad dream where you can't talk, if that makes sense. Like if you were put in a scary situation or like a dilemma, like someone's like chasing you around with a knife and you can't scream for help, that's basically how it was. Because no matter what I said or what I did, I lost.
I mean, and it's unbelievable because you can't, it's like the truth is on your side, but you can't prove it or show it other than like just track you. And people were just jealous of you and jealous, envious, annoyed, all that stuff, you know, right? I mean,
yeah, the whole thing from the situation was like, I knew I had done wrong, but I just wish that everything, like, I feel like it was a lot of the, you know, background was left out of it. And I wish it just would have been a fair playing field and everyone could have just been mature and like, it never would have happened the way it did. But there's that, you know, we're all kids and we're all trying to figure it out. And like, nobody wants to take the blame for doing what they did.
And did they like do mean stuff too? Like pranks on you, write stuff on your door, that kind of stuff?
No, it wasn't like that. It was more like public humiliation, you know? Like,
which sucks.
And not only was it bad, but like it was also, you know, it was like salt just being rubbed in the wound at all times. Like instead of just letting it happen and letting me just like get destroyed on the internet, it was like the extra little comments or the extra little this or the extra little that. anytime I would say anything to try to defend myself or like speak out. So it was definitely it was a mental roller coaster for me.
Well, no, the thing that scares me about all this is how many other kids are getting that ridicule, and then they do things that are, so those are short-term problems, and they take a long-term solution to it. And you know what I'm talking about. And so
Yep.
how many other kids are ridiculed and think they have no way out or this, and then commit that, suicide and stuff. And I think that mental health is the most hidden discussion in the world right now.
Yeah, no, I never really realized, because I didn't do social media growing up at all. So I never really saw it. And I didn't truly understand any of the, mental health or anything about, social media like they spoke about until that moment. Like that was the lowest point I had ever been in my life, mentally for sure. And I'm usually like a pretty chill, like straight up, like, vibing dude. And like that was definitely terrible. And anyone that wasn't, bad home life or other things added on top of it, I was very fortunate to have good friends and like a team, and everything else was going great for me. So I was able to fight through it, but like it was scary. It was definitely scary.
Did you go to your parents at all?
Not really. My mom, of course, would always message me and be like, I hope you're doing okay, yada, yada, yada. But,
no, I understand that, because you don't want to go to your parents or your family because you didn't want to worry them, and you didn't want to worry them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I didn't want to worry them. And, I just didn't want to like, I'm all the way on the West Coast. I don't want them thinking that, I'm not doing okay. So a lot of it I kept bottled up pretty well until, in the past month or two, I've really started to like speak out and like talk about it from my side. Just because like, I haven't done a good job at like explaining who I am as a person on the internet. I've been trying to do that and show like my personality and, the layers that there are to me as a human.
I hope this partly does it. Now, have any of the people that were mean to you back then or bullies, have they come out or said anything to disagree with you, or have you talked to any of them or any of that?
Well, the problem with social media is like the people that were really giving me a hard time were just other creators that were trying to like bury me even deeper for views. Because obviously if they talked about the situation and roasted me, then it would do really well on the internet. So a lot of those people are just fake in general. I don't know if you ever seen my channel, but I don't really collab with anyone outside of Sway, just because I feel bad for all of these kids that idolize people that are fake. Like Sway's done multiple things that are wrong. We've had our fair share of don'ts, but like at least people can look at that and they can say they're normal kids. They don't fake anything. And we can learn from that. Sway has learned from our mistakes. If you look 4 months back when we were in the old house, we're completely different kids. We're changing the world. We're changing culture. We're building things and trying to teach our fans real life advice and generational wealth that they can take on. And like, even if it's just a little bit, and that idea in their head of investing and like getting curious about it. I love it. And a lot of the people that used to make fun of me, they go out, they go live, make money off their fans, go buy a Gucci belt, and they have no money to their name, and they're never going to build anything that actually holds any value in the world. So like for a while I let their words bother me, and then I realized like I'm just going to change and maneuver my way around it, and I'll watch them sink as I rise.
That's powerful. What were you going to say? Sorry.
No, it just took me a while to realize that, and like
let them see when you rise.
Yeah, they always just they're always fake. Anytime you see them in person, they could roast you the day before, talk trash on your name. Then the next day you see them, and they're like, "Oh, hey Griffin, what's up, man? Like, how you doing? I missed you." It's like I just feel bad for all of these people, and they have millions of followers that look up to them, and that's who they are. I feel bad.
And so one more thing on this thing, and you're talking about the mental health thing in the last couple months you've come out with it. when I started this company, it's now like 120 people, but when I started it, every night I woke up at 3 a.m, the most anxiety, anxious, mental health stuff that you could imagine. And
Right.
the issue with what you were describing is that you didn't want to go to your family because you didn't want to worry your family, you know?
Of course.
And so there's a lot of kids like you were back then, or like I was, that they do take the wrong approach to it, you know, and I got help and stuff like that. And I think it's really powerful for you coming out and talking about this, because they see Griffin Johnson in shape, famous, TikTok, you know, all this stuff. And they're like, oh, like I'm jealous of that. And I think people need to peel back that onion like we're doing right now and talking about your trials and tribulations. And I sense, by the way, that there's more to it from you that like you're not even totally saying when you were in nursing school and people were like doing stuff to you or not doing stuff, but saying stuff. I like sense there's more to it that you're sort of holding back. Just like I'm holding back what I just recently told our team members about this stuff, but I held back a little bit. But I feel like there's more, and I feel like the more you tell that story, the more it's going to change lives and also make people know that imperfection is okay and getting ridiculed is okay. You just gotta, if you know you're a high integrity person doing the right thing, then that's good. You know what I mean? And
yeah, I've really been working on that. I realized that, you know, for me, if you speak to me in person, I don't really know a lot of people, like, and not to be an asshole or like, you know, speak out, but a lot of people that meet me in person, they realize and they say, oh, I thought you were going to be a lot different. And I always wondered what that meant. I was like, I think I'm different. Like, I'm always nice to everyone. I feel like anyone you talk to, if they've met me, they would say I'm nice, at least for the most part. And I didn't understand because I guess I couldn't see from the outside how people view me. And whenever they started saying, I didn't expect you to be like that, that's when I realized I wasn't telling enough about myself. I feel like just from you talking to me now, you can, you know, you kind of feel me and you see that I'm a normal human being that goes through things. And like, I want people to learn from me just because I have struggled with talking to people about, you know, my issues and things that have gone on since I started this journey. And like, I just have really sucked at communicating that. And I feel like I've been very superficial and, you know, not built that connection with my following.
It'll happen over time. It'll happen over time. But my final question on that is, if those kids weren't mean to you or whatever, and the teachers weren't mean to you, do you think you would still be in nursing school or be a nurse now and not be doing this? Or do you think this was your path either way?
You know, I don't think I would be here because kind of the thing that got me into social media was I was looking for an alternative because my whole life, you know, I didn't grow up with a lot of money or anything like that. So like nursing for me and anesthesia, I love chemistry, and it was kind of like, it was something I liked and I wanted to help people, but I don't think I really, really, really loved it. So as soon as that environment started turning toxic for me, I really started thinking of alternatives, and that's kind of where I started social media because I saw that you could make money from it.
Got it.
So.
No, awesome. So, okay. So, Josh, it's your turn to ask a couple of your questions now. You know what you want to ask. So go talk on the microphone and there you go.
So I heard about the Yankees thing with the Brian Cashman.
What's going on with that?
What's going on with that?
So Brian Cashman is a great guy, and he came onto my new podcast, Brain Dade, that I started with Tom Draw. And basically, I kind of told him about baseball, and I loved it. And he knew I had played and kind of looked up my history. And basically, he was like, hey, I'll send out some scouts. I'll get you trained up, knock the rust off, and we can see if you're cut out to be a Yankee. So, you know, I've started my training with that.
When did you start your training?
Last week, actually.
Wow. What kind of like training?
Just hitting and fielding, mostly. Working on some mobility, like with my arm and, you know, band work and all of the normal basic throwing stuff. But yeah, just getting back into the flow. And I'm going to, you know, I've been working out, trying to get my strength up so I can compete at that, at least at a minor league level.
Interesting. So are you excited about this?
I'm super excited. it's not guaranteed, but it's definitely looking pretty bright in the future that I might be playing, minor league baseball.
So I know someone's listening. They're saying, wait, so Brian Cashman sent out scouts, but then the scouts say, okay, this guy has some talent. And then they find you some trainers to like help you, or like what's the next step?
Yeah. So like basically, I'm working on getting my way to play professional baseball at this point. Just getting the right training and, working on getting my skills back up to when I played. And basically it's just getting back in the flow and then trying out and working with Brian to see if I can, play professional baseball.
Yeah, that would be pretty crazy and exciting. I mean, that reminds you of like Michael Jordan or, other guys. I mean, that's, I guess the working out that you guys do will be good for that, right?
Yeah, I consider it a Tim Tebow.
The Tim Tebow. There you go. Okay. Josh, ask your one more question, Josh.
So what's your favorite thing? Like Instagram, Twitter, TikTok?
Thriller.
So I do love Triller, but I would say YouTube is my overall favorite. I know people listening to this might be like, well, he doesn't post regularly. YouTube has been the most challenging platform for me to get into, just because it's long form, and you kind of have to love it to do it. But I love that challenge, and I love the long form content where I can actually express my personality and put a lot of creative thought into it.
So do you like YouTube though? What do you spend time like consuming? Is it YouTube or watching other people? Where do you consume most of your content?
So recently, especially in the past like 2 weeks, I've been watching like 2 or 3 hours of YouTube a day, just working on my craft and figuring out where I want to go with my career on YouTube.
But what kind of people are you watching then?
I watch all kinds. I've been getting more into reaction videos. Like, one of my biggest inspos is Cody Ko, Sniper Wolf. And then there's obviously like a couple others.
Nelk Boys?
Nelk is, I love Nelk. Like they're my friends, but like, that's not the content I aspire to do.
Got it. You said reaction. I didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So YouTube is an interesting.
H2. That's another one.
Okay. Got it. Josh, any more questions?
So for the third one, what do you do when you wake up? Do you is it the same as Bryce Hall's?
So it's very similar. Usually when we wake up in the mornings, it's like, I usually wake up every day around 8:30, around there, depending on how late I was up. And then we just go work out, pretty much every day. So we're usually done lifting by like 10:15, 10:30, and then we go and like eat and grab something from Jamba Juice or something like that. And then we come back to the house around 11:15. We film until about noon, and then we go on to our calls. Sometimes we have calls before that, but usually filming's right around noon, whether it's a call between driving home from eating or whatever it is. And then the rest of the day is calls, and we have a couple of days blocked out every week where we just film YouTube. So,
what kind of calls?
So it varies. We have some that are, that's a great question. We have some calls that are just about business. So like any kind of investing, like putting our money into other companies, hoping they do well. We also have calls that are just about building things, like building our own business, like an energy drink. We just started that. So there's a lot of calls about, making sure it runs well and people are happy with their product, and what they're drinking. And then some calls are just setting up like collabs or like new shows. Like I'm working on a new show right now that I've had a lot of calls about, just making sure we have the right people on the team.
What kind of show?
Another good question. So the show I'm working on right now, I don't know if you know what Tosh.0 or Ridiculousness is.
Yeah, I do.
Are you familiar?
Yeah, you may not.
So,
but Tosh.0 for sure.
Yeah. So basically what I do is I take really funny videos that are on the internet and I break them down and talk about like why people might have messed up or why it's funny, or just make jokes about what they did. And it's just really fun to watch.
So are you guys just doing like filming it yet, or it's just in the stage where you're getting close to filming it?
Yeah, so we're really close right now. We're actually just working on some of the budgeting.
Thank you.
And once we get all of that figured out and how we're, the cost of everything, we'll pretty much be done. So I'm thinking by early December.
Got it. That's exciting. So that's your first show, and you're trying to syndicate it to like a network?
Yeah. We basically have it. We already have it sold. Now we just have to work out on the budgeting.
Got it. All right. Josh is out. Okay. Now
Hey, Josh, see you, buddy.
Bye.
Okay. So now we're going to get to a couple more things. You guys have been actively investing in like startups too, or angel investing. What made you want to start doing that, and where do you want to take that?
So for me, we basically with Sway in our past, we don't get very many brand deals. So we had to think of an alternative and how we're going to make our money. So we basically said, we're not going to use anything unless we build it or we invest in it. So that's kind of like how the angel investing started. It was like, I want to put my money into things that I use and I believe in, or people that I believe in, that I've met along the way that, starting companies. And my investment strategy is, if I use it or I can build it, I invest. Right. If I meet someone and I believe in them and I think that they have what it takes to be a great founder, I'll invest in them regardless of whether it's their first company or their fifth company. There's people that I've met that I know that are eventually going to make something that turns into, a decacorn or, unicorn.
Yep. So it's smart. So it's using your network to find opportunities, and then using the products that you're going to use instead of using some big conglomerate that's been around for 50 years. I mean,
yeah, business is changing, and, our culture in Sway especially has kind of shown that, people invest in the things that we use. So we might as well, if we're already shaping the culture, we might as well build it or, start it off and invest in it first.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're right. I mean, you guys, why not sell it? I mean, and I talked to, I talked to one of your guys about that exact thing. Like, instead of promoting the Dunkin' coffee, you may create your own product.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. Why would we promote it when we can make our own?
Yeah, that was Josh Richardson we were talking about. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so you can create your own. And I've known you guys. Any investments you want to talk about right now, or just mention their names, give them a shout? Or
yeah. So my very first investment that I was really excited about was Lynn Table. It's my friend. His name's Sheridan Claiborne, and it's a 401k. It basically matches your 401ks for people that can't.
How'd you meet him?
I met him. He's a Valley guy. I met him through Michael. Okay. He came over and Sheridan's just a hustler, so I respect his.
Yeah, I need to get back to him. He DM'd me. I forgot, and now I get back to him. And I know the guy's a mad genius. I know he was a scholar of what's his name. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So yeah, and he was graduated college at 15 or whatever. So no,
he's an evil genius. I'm telling you, he's a crazy man.
Yeah,
I love it.
That's good. So that's one of the ones, and you're going to do more.
Yeah, that's one of many that I have right now, but yeah.
Yep. And then to this one, how many approximately Instagram is your Instagram DM open or is it blocked? I mean, people can DM you, right? I mean,
yeah, people can only DM me if I enable their request.
Got it. But how many requests do you get a day, probably, or a week?
Dude, I don't even thousands. I don't even know.
So what if someone you can't read them all, obviously, but right. what if there was one that was really valuable, and it's don't you sometimes get anxiety over not anxiety, but should I hire an assistant to read all of them?
Well, yes and no. The reason I don't read them personally is because some of them are super offensive, and some of them are great, and it's kind of the punches you have to roll with. It's sometimes there is some valuable ones in there. Luckily, you can filter it from top requests, which is your most, if someone verified or someone that has a high following DMs you, it goes to the top. So I use that feature.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, it's definitely, you know, just one of those things you kind of just got to deal with.
It wasn't a problem you had way back when, that's for sure. But it's
Right.
interesting now. So, I mean, I wonder if they did a thing where you charge $1 to send an Instagram, if it lessened it. So one guy at night eventually like make email cost for every email you send out, have it charge $1. So people would take more time and care. You know, when something's free and just easy, then you get a lot of terrible noise. Right. And so
Right.
that's, you know, one story on that. So what was I going to say? Now going to today, you, I think you have a new song coming out. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. That is correct.
This new song, when's it coming out?
Well, right now I'm working on getting the song is finished for the most part, but I'm working on the music video because the music video is what's really going to capture the meaning of the song.
Got it. Okay.
It's a parody, nothing crazy.
You think you're going to do a lot more music?
Yeah. So I've been working with Cal from Time Flies. I don't know if you know who that is. But
I don't know Cal from Time Flies. He's a producer or something?
Yeah, well, he's got a couple, you know, he's got a couple songs, I think 1 or 2 that are platinum, and
nice.
He's a lyrical genius. But we're working on creating like a parody group, it's called literally Alter Ego because we want it to be our alter egos, and we're just gonna make a bunch of like college like parody party fun songs.
Okay, so take parodies. That I mean, no one's really I haven't seen really anyone do that. So
yeah,
that's a good angle. And he does that right now.
Yeah, so we actually have 2 songs we're working on right now that we're finishing up, and we're having a lot of fun with it. It's gonna be a good time.
Yeah, no, the guy that I know in Hollywood who does a lot of music stuff is this guy Brandon Goodman. He's one of Billie Eilish's managers. He's from like right. We grew up like in the same area. And
that's cool.
Place. Yeah, I mean he went to LA and then went the circuit, and now Billie Eilish, like he's in all the articles. Brandon Goodman, I don't know. So he's done a good job. Billie Eilish, yeah. So the songs you're singing now. So the thing that gets in the headlines a lot is your dating life, right? Your dating life. People always want to know about the Sway House Boys. I mean,
they love it.
They love it, and it's unbelievable. If you do a Google search, it just starts filling out like Griffin Johnson's girlfriend, like all this thing, like how many people, the number, the whatever. So all that stuff. Now Dixie. So you dated Dixie, then you didn't, but then you cheated on her, but then you didn't, and no one really has any certainty or whatever. And what's your story? I mean, remember we were talking about the nursing school. We got really honest. We had a little emotional moment. Maybe some tears were about to be shed, but they weren't. But I mean, people have asked you this stuff, so you'll probably get tired of it eventually.
So I talked about this on Josh's podcast, and I feel like I said it really well in there. But basically what I said was there's a lot more to, the story. Like, we were on and off, and we were broken up, and then we weren't, and like there was like a weird period where we were broken up, and basically how it all happened was I was just going through my DMs when we had broken up for a few days, just because like I wanted to talk to someone because I was down. I really, really liked Dixie, and I still like respect her. I respect her and Noah being together. I'm happy for them and glad that things have kind of chilled out and they can move on and do their thing. But yeah, I was just sad. I just wanted to talk to a girl that wasn't famous and made me feel like I was in college again. So that's kind of how it all started. And
okay.
Dave pulled up. There was basically what happened was she posted a bunch of screenshots from this girl.
Yep.
And yeah, it was like some of it was true. There was a bunch of people making other things like DMs and all of these other snaps that weren't true. So that sucked because I basically had to just sit there and take it because what was I going to say? All I can say about the story really is like, I wish that from the beginning, both sides could have been transparent. There was some weird stuff going on and, whatever, she was doing her thing. And I just wish that the story would have been out there instead of just saying, yeah, we were together the whole time, things are great. And then he just went and Snapchatted this girl. because that's not true at all.
There's more to it, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it was like it just seemed really it was harsh, and it hurt me because I really did like care about her, and I feel like social media ruined our relationship just because we had been together since like February. Like we were together for months. It was like 5 months, 6 months, whatever, 4 months, 5 months. And then we started dating and we kind of made it official on the internet, and that just killed it. Like after that, it was just like everyone in our business and blah, 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 blah. And like, it was hard. People were trying to break us up. A lot of people want to be with her because she has the numbers. And like, it's sad to me because we started talking whenever we were same size. Like the first time I hung out with her was November of like 2019. Like she didn't have followers. Like,
by the way, how did you start hanging out with her?
So me and her were on, and like we had this weird thing in the beginning from like November to January where we would like flirt and we would talk
on like Snapchat or something. Like how'd you originally meet her?
So I originally met her. We lived across the street from the Hype House.
Who's we?
It was me,
and some
Jaden.
friends?
Yeah, it was like the starting of the Sway House before we had the Sway House.
Okay, got it. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, you lived across the street.
Yeah, I met her there, and we went to IHOP, and it was like a funny story. She paid for my IHOP that night, which is really funny. But
that is funny. Why'd that happen?
I don't know how. I was actually talking to the waitress, like, and she was an older lady, and we were just talking, and I turned around and like she paid for the bill.
Got it.
So she used to give me crap about that.
Yeah.
That was the first time we had met, but no, it was great, man. Like we've had a lot of great times. Like I'm sad. I'm honestly just sad about the way that things ended and how I acted. With the people call it a diss track. It wasn't meant to really be a diss track. It was that song that I wrote was me. Like it was basically a cry for help so I could speak. Because I couldn't speak on the internet without getting destroyed.
Was she talking to you? Was she talking to you then or no?
Not really. We were cordial, but not really. Like we didn't speak at all, which really hurt me because how I wish things could have went down is like the girl told her that we were Snapchatting. I wish she just would have came to me and we could have talked about it. And like, I'm not gonna lie, whenever we were kind of working things out, I didn't think of me Snapchatting that girl as anything deep because for me, it was just someone to talk to because I was lonely. I didn't think of it as like, oh, I'm going to date her. Oh, I like her. Like, it wasn't like that. It was like, I just needed someone to talk to. So whenever we were working things out, like I told her that that I hadn't spoke to anyone and like, I wasn't like trying to date or talk or do anything to anyone. So when she found that out, she felt betrayed, which is very like, that's like, okay. Like, I understand where she came from. That's kind of why it spiraled out of control. And she got really like upset and like it got on the internet and that girl posted the video. And like, that's kind of how it all came to be because it seemed like I lied and in a way I did, but I didn't mean to. But I never got to explain that before things got out of control because it was a big like misunderstanding. And then like, basically I got destroyed on the internet and I was in a really bad place and I made this song, which I shouldn't have. And sometimes I regret it. But yeah, it's tough. I wish that we could still at least be not even friends, but at least just be cordial again.
Yeah. I mean, you also wrote that letter, right? In September. Just to say like, it was a tweet. It was like somebody, you put your thoughts in a short summary. And because you were getting blasted in social media because people just make judgments. They're thinking that you were just running around on Dixie, I guess.
Right. Yeah. And like, I'm a 21-year-old kid. Like I've made plenty of mistakes. And like, I definitely towed a line and wasn't, the best guy that I could have been in ways, but I also wasn't this, crazy, like manipulative, crazy cheater dude. That's just terrible. Like everyone says.
Yep.
And like, I'll admit that I've done wrong. I told you, like, I wasn't honest when she asked me if I had talked to other girls. Like, I'm very open about it because I want people to learn from me. Just so, like, even if I help one person, if I would have heard this story from someone else before I did that, maybe I could have, like, thought about it differently. But it was also harder because I had millions of ears in my, you know, like, or millions of people speaking. And it was just really tough. Like, I don't regret it because I'm happy with where it led my career. But I definitely regret the fact that we're not friends. And, like, I've done my fair share of messed up things that made me look like a jerk. And, like, I just wish we could have communicated about it better.
Yeah, and you know, there's always different sides to the stories and whatever, and people take it out of context. And you guys, even if that DM stuff doesn't come out, you still may have broken up or whatever. You know, there might have been other things in your relationship that people don't know about, right? And that's what people just think, and that's what people just think that was the thing, but it may not have been, right? It could have been, and that's it's kind of what you were saying in your talk. I mean, I get it. You're 21 years old. I mean, that's what happens. The relationships. I mean, it's so crazy, man. You got to think about how crazy what you're living through. I mean, like, it's insane if you think about it. I mean, I remember going on a Western trip and stuff and different people. You're living it in the freaking, I mean, I can't even imagine how many tweets were at you that week or something. It must be insane, right?
Yeah, dude, it was tens of thousands, if not hundreds.
Oh my gosh. I mean, literally. So do you even look at the stuff or just don't look at it?
Dude, my videos were getting 100,000 comments of just hate per video.
Holy cow! And you just keep living it another day. You don't do you get like depressed? Do you I mean, you go to therapy? You get I mean, how do you deal with that stuff? I mean, that's a lot because it comes on so quickly. Man. It comes on so quickly. That's the problem. It comes on so quickly.
Yeah.
You don't have to go in.
I kept posting through it all. I actually never quit.
You didn't? Okay.
Yeah, not because I didn't it's not, people I think got the wrong idea that I didn't care. Like, some people would be like, Griffin stays unbothered, he's a king. But that's not what I wanted. I wanted to show people that regardless of how much hate I was getting and the whole world could be crashing down, but I genuinely just appreciate the people that are there for me. And I didn't quit posting just because I kind of wanted people to see me get crapped on a little bit, just because I wanted to prove a point that you if you do what you love, it doesn't matter, right? So that's basically the message I was sending out.
Yeah, but it wasn't like you weren't feeling it, but you were just
I was feeling it. I was feeling it. Trust me.
Yeah. No, sometimes I think people get they're not seeing you bothered by it, and they see you keep posting oh, I got to get this guy, I got to mess with this guy even more. Instead, it's rejection, and you're fighting through it. And speaking of that, have you had you're out in Hollywood now? Have you had some rejection and stuff you want to get done, or people you want to meet, A-list, people have you encountered that where people don't give you guys a time or day? Or is it everyone's hey, we need it, they're chasing you now? I mean, I know a lot of people are chasing you, but are you also getting rejection? How do you overcome that if you do?
I get rejection every day. I think a lot of people think just because we have followers or sway boys or whatever, we can do whatever we want. But I send out plenty of tweets, plenty of DMs. I shoot for the stars, man. I do that every day. I DM people just like I DM'd you. And I get rejected 9 out of 10 times, but it's all about that one win. And people really think that we don't get rejected. I feel sometimes I literally get rejected every day on a daily basis.
You really do. So you reach out to I'm not even saying girls. I'm not even saying that. I'm saying business thing.
Business.
Let's say it was Steven Spielberg. I don't even know, so you do reach out to guys, not Steven Spielberg, but in general, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I've reached out. Some of my greatest relationships are from that too, even I've spoke to Shaq now, because I DM'd him. I got Gary Vee on a podcast just because I DM'd him.
So when you DM Shaq, what'd you say to Shaq?
I was I can't remember the exact message, but basically I was hey, Shaq, love what you've done and the brand you've built. I'm a young entrepreneur and social media influencer. just getting started. And like, I would love if you could just give me like 15 minutes and we could talk about your career and any kind of advice you could give me. Just like stuff like that.
And how long did it take him to reply?
His was like overnight.
Yep.
His was pretty quick.
I think Shaq's. Keep going. What are you going to say?
Well, I think he was probably someone on his team, but I ended up eventually getting on a FaceTime with him and stuff. So, like, just things like that, though. It's
did you do a podcast with him, or was it just a FaceTime, you and him?
Just a FaceTime, which was cool. It was kind of like surreal, not gonna lie. But there's a lot of people that, I've reached out to and gotten contact. Bethany Frankel.
I participated in the CNBC fantasy stock portfolio with this guy, Oz Perlman. We came in like second, but Bethany was one of the people on it. There was like 10 of us, and she was one of them.
Well, that's how I got her on my podcast as well, for Brand Aid. Like, I just DM'd her, and like now, I'm connected with her and can text her whenever I want. And like, it's cool. Like, that's a great person for me to be connected with. And it was just because I DM'd. I don't remember the other 10. I probably DM 50 people, at least a couple of times a week. I don't remember the other 49 or 45 that rejected me. I only remember the 5 that respond.
Yep. No, you're right. I have a DM with Adam Sandler. So I met him last year, and I DM'd him and heard back. But you're right. So you reach out to 50 people a week though, like that you're trying to make. Like, is it
easily?
Are they pretty similar templated messages?
Yeah, like I curate it based on like, it's people that I aspire, people I want to learn from, whether it's their business, their career, whatever. So they're very format. I just kind of curate it based on who they are and what I want to learn from them when I type the message, but easily 50, sometimes 100, 200 people a week.
So it's like the Gary V's or Jesse, whatever that guy, whatever, he's on Instagram crazy. He's the guy who runs like all these marathons, but it's like those kind of guys. It's not like Tom Hanks. It's more like business.
No, it's everyone, like ranging from literally, like I said, Gary V to Jessica Alba, like Jennifer Aniston, like everyone, anyone that you think is cool or like A-list celebrities.
Jennifer Aniston get back to you?
She didn't. That one hurts.
Yeah.
I love her. She's my number one internet movie crush.
I hear you. And I used to, her and Shannon Doherty, and I was in a casino. I played at a craps table with Shannon Doherty. And like, I still think, Shannon liked me, but this is before phone, whatever. But yeah, so that's what you do a lot of DMs. Now, at the end of the day, what do you hope to get? Like, just the connections and see how they built their business and learn?
Yeah, like once you meet me in person, it's really easy for me to connect with someone.
Yep.
So all I try to do is just get on a call, even if I don't make an actual relationship with them, like just to get their number, to maybe hopefully FaceTime and text them in the future if I need something, and just kind of get my foot in the door. Whether we ever speak again, at least they'll recognize my name or my face. So when future things come up, they'll be more likely to be like, oh yeah, I remember that kid. He's a hustler. Like, oh yeah, I remember that kid. He was great.
You're doing the right thing. Now, do you have any employees, you personally, like an assistant or anything?
No, man, I just do it. This is going to sound really bad, and eventually I know I'm probably going to need more help, but I'm just very stubborn. And like when I mess up, it's easier for me to learn from it and hold myself accountable. If someone else messes something up, all I can think about is I should have just done it. I should have just done it myself. So just for the anxiety factor and like, I don't know. Eventually I probably will, but it's hard for me. People keep telling me to get one. I'm just like,
no, but see, you're a very real person. And that's why I was like, do you have any team members that work for you a little bit? Or, I know you have Michael who manages and, makes the connections, and he's the man, all that. But what I'm saying is like, you're very real, and things like learning, I don't know, the stock market or the basics of how someone, instead of getting 0% in the checking account, could, like, if you took like a thing and did a learning thing and made a course, like, and it's genuine, people, like, those are products that you probably could create and they would do well, with someone else.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of things that you could take. What'd you say?
I've thought about doing some stuff like that because, like, I really have a passion for teaching people. Even with Josh, I was trying to explain it to where it would make sense to them in the best way possible, talking about business. It's like, I want to be able to do that because I feel like I'm pretty good at breaking things down, especially if I'm not on the spot. And I can edit it and think things out and plan it. So I've thought about that.
That's what I mean. Like my kids, I'm trying to get Josh to do an interview a week, for the rest of his life. That'd be amazing. He does 52 a year and he's 9 years old, and so by the time he's 20, he has, so I was trying to get him to like learn it a little bit. But the other thing I was going to say is kids like these games, they play these Among Us or these games and if you can create something that these kids would want. Do you know Among Us?
Yeah.
They're obsessed. So we create we're creating a financial game that's like the stock market contest. Those are things like that you could attach yourself to and get kids, those are things that like your brand. And that's where I was saying, like, how do you filter out these opportunities and all that stuff? And I get it. Mark Cuban's very similar to you and that's in the way he manages his stuff. Once he has a deal, then he has a team that executes on it for him, like that does the stuff. And you kind of have that with Gruen. So you don't necessarily need, but I guess in some respect, if you really wanted to scale your reach out thing, I mean, you could, but then it's not going to be genuinely you because you know what to say to Jennifer Aniston versus your assistant's not going to say the right words.
Yeah. It's like, imagine I had someone on it and it's like, a lot of it's copy, paste the format and then curate it to the person. Imagine they copy and pasted it and like wrote about the wrong person or the wrong thing. And then it's like they open it and they read it. They're like, what is this kid talking about? And then later in the future, I come into something and they're like, this kid's an idiot. Get him out.
Oh, so I mean, it's not, this interview is not my own. I'm going to get ripped on saying, Jason, don't talk about yourself. But I had the worst one. I wanted to work at a hedge fund. So I created this thing called the Dan Loeb Digest. It's Third Point. He's a very tough, but very smart hedge fund manager, like one of the biggest in the world. I was emailing every week my stock picks. And then like finally I said enough or not enough. And I said like, I want to come work for Third Avenue. Okay. His is Third Point. Okay. So he wrote back to me. He's like, well, good luck. Tell Marty Whitman I say hello. It's a competitor. And so the guy that was helping me through this, like advised me, this guy, James Altucher, who's very well known. If you look him up, you'll see he went viral in New York because he said New York is dead. But, and so James, I show him the message, Jason, you're done. You have to move on to your next guy. I'm like, no, I don't have many other. I was only going after one or two. It was like this whole thing. And so then the line to use, man, if that ever happens, here's the line. This is why I'm giving you the story. If that ever happens and you write to the wrong person or you do a copy paste and have the wrong name, the response was, I just wanted to see if you're reading these messages, like, something like that. I was messing around to see if you're actually, and then Dan Loeb wrote back, I like a guy with a sense of humor. All right, when do you want to meet? So that like those, like, you know what I mean? You get it?
Yeah, I see. You're like, just making sure.
Yeah, but that's great that you're doing it. And then you just got to figure out what you do with it. I mean, all these people you're talking to, do you write a book? Do you do something with it? Do you just learn from them, which I think is half the battle. It's for your age, you're 21, you learn from them and then you build stuff. I mean, the benefit you have is time right now, right?
Yeah, it's
you don't feel like that, do you?
No, I don't. I feel like I have a certain window of social media fame that I need to get everything done.
Are you afraid this TikTok thing is not going to grow, or like, is that something that fearful for you? I guess not really, or not really.
I'm not scared because I've always found a way to pivot, but I just want to accomplish as much as I can while I still have it.
Okay. Now we've been going a long time, so I think I've pretty much covered everything. What made you guys donate all those masks for Corona? What made you guys do that?
Right. So, Bryce, of course, got in trouble for the partying during the pandemic. And, with my nursing background, it kind of made sense for me. But we just wanted something cool to give back. Like, whenever we do stuff, Sway always wants it to have a lot of purpose and a lot of meaning. Like, so masks, of course, right now, it's a huge Corona spike in the world, especially back in Indiana, where I'm from right now. Everyone's getting Corona. So, like, I just wanted to, do my best to make a difference whenever you can't be in person, and, donate something that made a lot of sense and would actually have a lot of value right now. So masks it just made perfect sense.
So 9-year-old, I'm teaching. You don't have the kids yet, so that's good, but
that's right.
Yeah, but they're fun. They can be fun, they're certain ages. But so, what's next for you? Is it just building the TV show, your videos that you do, be more real? Like, is there anything else next that people that are listening to, they should pay attention to for you?
My plan is to be the biggest host social media's ever seen. So
biggest what?
The biggest host, like show host, TV host.
Got it.
Event host, anything like that.
You remember the game, the trivia thing, HQ. Remember that guy? He was huge. You remember that?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. But Griffin Johnson, you are the man. Keep up the good work. Keep up what you're doing. And I think it's so nice for people to hear the real thing behind you and how you look at things and what you went through in nursing school and your life. I mean, from a breakup when you're 20 years old, 21 years old, that is so public that most people had this I would assume, similar situations. Like you said, Dixie wasn't famous then, right? I mean,
right.
And so it's a whole different experience, but you had to live through it. And I think it's just amazing that you're not only living through these things, I would say trials and tribulations, but you're, excelling, you're overcoming them. Cause like a lot of people would just sit there at home and cry and not continue forward. And I think what people need to recognize, they're short-term problems, and you just keep pushing forward. So congrats to you on that.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate that.